Okay, welcome back to part 2 of the Municipality of South Dundas' regular meeting for Monday, November 27th, 2023. We will pick up at agenda item 7B, ES 2023-09, Harbors Municipal Drain Reapportionment of Drainage Assessment. Drainage Superintendent Chris St. Thomas is with us. Go ahead,
Good evening, everybody. Through you, Mr. Mayor. You have a report in front of you. It's for a reapportionment of the drain assessment. So we're asking council to accept the report and to approve it by resolution. So this came about from a severance. We decided not to go through the engineering route, and staff came up with the new apportionment, and there is a signed letter from both landowners who have agreed to it. So now any future building with this drain will use this new assessment.
Any questions, comments? Glad to see things can just work out without conflict. So I have a motion that council hereby receives a report regarding the reappointment of drainage assessment for the Harbors Municipal Drain due to severance of land, and further that council hereby appoints reappointment of drainage assessment agreement for Harbors Municipal Drain as part of the consent application B99-23. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Mr. St. Thomas. Moving to 7C, FS 2023-07, Section 357, Tax Write-Off. Treasurer Julie Stewart is with us. Go ahead, Julie.
Through you, Mayor Rod. We do request council to approve tax write-offs throughout the year. They can be for various reasons, whether it's change in rate or I guess demolition, or if there's a loss of a structure due to a fire. Tonight we just have a couple of small ones, one being a change in class, and the other one is severance, which included a road allowance exemption. So the two of them together, the total is $415.17, and the municipality's portion is $159.31. In total through the year, what we've requested for write-offs is $23,613.65, which is well under budget. Budget we have this year is $60,000. So we're asking for council to approve these two write-offs.
Thank you, Treasurer Stewart, and thank you for keeping us under budget on this line item. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I have a motion that council accepts report FS 2023-04 to approve the municipal tax write-offs in the amount of $415.17 according to the property classes as per the attached. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Moving to 7D, PF 2023-21 Municipal Viewing Platform Donation. Director of Parks, Recreation and Facilities, David Jansen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Council. So in front of you tonight is just a quick report, something that's sort of been in the discussions at the Morrisburg waterfront for a little while. I've been getting a little bit of pressure to get the project moving, so I sort of pulled it out of the Morrisburg waterfront, especially with the funding process of it. If I included it in the Morrisburg waterfront, we wouldn't be starting until the budget bylaw passes, which will probably be about late January. So what I'm looking for from council tonight is approval to accept the donation from the Lions. This will allow myself as staff to move forward with the project. The council might remember a little bit about this project, as the Lions did apply for the 50-50 grant for the viewing platform in the 2023 budget. So I did include in there their request then. It's almost the exact same request. The only difference is that they are now looking to up their donation amount. So the Lions have in place about $45,000 to donate towards the project. This one will be smaller than the last one, just because we won't have the ability to overhang because it's right there by the boat launch. So it's just going to be the same size as the storm outlet there. So I'm estimating that, yes, we've seen inflation values continue to climb, but we're probably still in the range that they're able to cover the entire cost of the project. By approving it tonight, I'll include it in the 2024 budget, but it allows me to start the engineering and tendering process now rather than waiting till February. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Questions from comments? That was great that the Lions Club continues to reinvest in our waterfront as some of their revenues are generated at our waterfront. And I appreciate the work that the Lions Club do. So thank you for the report, Director Jansen. So I have a motion. The council approves PF 2023-21 for the installation of a new viewing platform at the Morrisburg waterfront as outlined. Additionally, direct staff to work with the Morrisburg District Lions Club on procurement and funding. Moved by Councillor Smith, second by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. 7E, FES 2023-03, Fire Master Plan and Risk Assessment. With us tonight, Fire Chief Jeremy Aldred Hughes. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, Mayor Broad. Council, in front of you have a report outlining the results of an RFP we recently went to tender for, looking for the completion of a fire master plan and community risk assessment, both very important in our future and planning for South Dundas Fire. We had 3 companies that bid on the project. Out of the 3 companies, we had Lumex Group, Gervais Emergency Consulting, and Emergency Management Group. Gervais Emergency Consulting was able to meet all of the requirements set out in the RFP, as well as offer an emergency management review well within our budget. So the recommendation is to award the RFP and the project to Gervais Emergency Consulting for $53,000.
Questions, comments? Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, thank you, and I apologize if you just said I was kind of concentrating on the report again, but how long will this master plan be good for? Is it a 10-year plan?
We were looking for a 10-year, sorry through you, Mr. Brown. We were looking for a 10-year fire master plan, and the community risk assessment is due for July.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Councillor Smith?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Brown. I was just trying to find here, was this budgeted, and if it was, how much? I was just trying to find it here.
Yeah, it was budgeted in 2023 for $60,000.
60 of
We'll be pretty close to that with the HST on top, but we get that back, but
Yeah.
53 was the base, so we're under budget, so that's good. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I have a motion to cancel award RFP FES 2023-19 for the supply and delivery of the fire master plan and community risk assessment to Gervais Emergency Consulting at a cost of $53,000 plus HST, and furthermore that the mayor and clerk be authorized to sign any related documents. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. Carried. Seven F, FES 2023-04 self-contained breathing apparatus equipment RFP. Again, with us is Fire Chief Aldred Hughes. Go ahead, Fire Chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You have a report in front of you that is a response to an RFP that South Dundas Fire had put out for the purchase of new self-contained breathing apparatus for the fire department. It came to light earlier this year that our apparatus was coming to its end of life sooner than expected. Through the tendering process, we had 3 companies that bid on the SCBAs, and its recommendation is to award the RFP to 1200 Degrees for the procurement of the self-contained breathing apparatus in the amount of $383,000.
Thank you, Fire Chief Aldred Hughes. Discussion, comments, questions? Start with Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Brown. I'm trying to pull up the information here right now, and Chief Hughes, I looked at this the first time, and I saw that there was a very big gap in the bid. The top level was, I'm trying to find it, I think it was 521,000, and the low bid was 380.
Yeah, so page 144,
Yeah.
I'll just recap it for everyone. AJ Stone, bid for MSA, packs at $521,000. M&L Supply, Scott Air Packs, bid at $431,000. And 1200 Degrees Drager, bid at $383,000, rounded up.
Okay, and so the very first question that came to my head was, are we getting, is this a true apples to apples comparison on the equipment that was spec'd or that was requested the bid on? Or how
Yes.
close is it?
So through you, Mayor Broad, all three SCBA that were tendered all meet the NFPA standard, and they were all asked to present a very baseline pack that provided the requirements that we have for firefighting. So all three of these packs had were tendered with the same features, the same safety features, the same amount of air per bottle, all of those things. The difference between your prices just coming down to a different name.
So, okay, so, and my second big question that I had was, I was going through the graph, like the scorecard, the sheet, and the column that was listed as firefighter satisfaction, the MSA scored 35 out of 35, everybody loved it, and the one from Drager was only 23.3 out of 35. And so my question was, now I know that it's I guess what I'm getting at is that, do we need to do some more digging into this instead of just going with the lower cost option? Does firefighter satisfaction trump that? Because we're gonna have these for 15 years. The lifespan will be 15 years. And do we need to do some more digging into this before, instead of just accepting tonight? That's my question that I'm gonna ask everybody.
So,
Fire Chief?
through you again. So the way that was scored, that column was simply divided by 3, and the first place got the highest score, the second place got the second highest score, and the third place got the lowest score. As far as the packs themselves, I did also reach out to departments that are currently using these packs. So Thunder Bay Fire and Emergency Services, for instance, they're on their second order of these packs. And they're a full-time department in Northern Ontario that service quite a large volume of calls. Our neighbors just up the road, Castleman, are also using Drager now. They've had great feedback as far as the capabilities of the pack, the robustness of them. MSA is currently what we have, and they're the packs that have come to their end of their life before their due date.
Okay, we'll circle back to Councillor Smith's question. I have a couple questions to add on. In some of the RFP and some of the conversations just with the packs, I do know that MSA have voice enhancement. Do all the packs have that with their masks? And kind of talk around that if you would mind, Fire Chief.
So MSA, all of their packs come standard with the voice amplification. So NFPA has a standard that you have to meet a certain decibel when speaking through your mask. And MSA, that was the only way they could accomplish that. So that's why they have the electronic voice amplifier. The Scott packs, they quoted that on a separate item and was not part of the mask that we trialed, as did Drager. But this price would include an electronic voice amplifier on all of our masks for the firefighters, because that was the one thing through the surveys that they that identified most, that why they preferred the MSA over the Drager was the electronic voice amplifier. So we're still on the lower end of our budget and able to provide them with all of that.
Follow-up question just on that. I do know that air packs can come with different bottles, sizes, weights, obviously. To Councillor Smith's point, are they comparable? The bottles are the same bottles, or are there other options on the bottle weight and sizes?
So all the bottles are the same, regardless if it's MSA, Drager, or Scott. The only difference is the actual connection. Drager is the only pack that can take a bottle from any other pack, which is beneficial for us in a mutual aid environment, whether we're working with North Dundas, South Stormont, our neighbors to the west. We can take any bottle and put into that pack, whereas an MSA G1, you can only use an MSA G1 bottle. Scott Quick Connect can only use a Scott Quick Connect bottle.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, through you. So you kind of touched upon a couple things, and maybe I just need a clarification. So we sent out an RFP, and you were saying they came back to us with the specs on the basic packs?
They came back with the specs that we requested.
Okay, we
So-
requested 100%.
Yes. In their quoting, not in the packs that they dropped off.
Okay,
So like
yeah, now you're confused.
MSA, for instance, the packs that they dropped off to trial had thermal imaging built into the pass alarms, which was another $1,500. They had add-ons that weren't part of the packs that were quoted.
Okay. When you talk about the warranty, what's the warranty of the 3 suppliers?
Pardon me. They're all pretty much the same as far as the 15-year. Some of them worded as long as you own the pack, but at the end of that life expectancy, you're upgrading a pack. So they're all pretty standard. MSA has a few restrictions when it comes to their warranty on their electronics and their pass alarms and stuff. Scott and Drager are bumper to bumper 15-year.
So, is it fair to say or not fair to say that the packs, the MSA, the current packs that are failing, were they should they have still been under warranty?
So I can't speak totally to what the agreement was when those packs were purchased here, because I wasn't here. I have used these packs in other departments that we currently have, and it was more so a case of it was a full warranty, but then as time started going on, things started getting removed from it, such as the heads-up displays. So, which is why none of our packs have heads-up displays. The electronics started becoming a issue, so it was, except for XYZ. And now that these packs are no longer in production, you just can't get parts for them.
For I'll just say MSA. Just are there any features in Scott's or MSA that are kind of standard base features that Drager doesn't offer, and that would have to be upgraded if we wanted to get these enhanced features that maybe are base model?
So speaking of features, the only thing that's on the MSA pack standard that's not on the Drager or Scott is that electronic voice amp. And this current price includes that. Another thing that this current price includes is what's called a UEBSS connection. So that's a hose that's attached to the pack. We would each have a hose. If one of us ran into trouble, we could connect and share air. We asked for a base quote of 9, so 2 for each station and 1 on each rig kit. Drager quoted with a hose on every pack. So it's an enhanced safety for our firefighters that way. The other side of things, when you start talking about enhanced features, there's a lot of features with MSA. If you don't buy it today at the time of purchase, you can't add it to the pack later. Versus Drager's kind of like Lego. We can add stuff, we can add communications, we can add telemetry, we can add things down the road should our fire service need it and our council deem it necessary.
So just one more last question for me. I apologize if this seems like you're on trial, but this is a $500,000 purchase. And there is quite a spread between the highest and the lowest. You know, I be honest with you, I'm very surprised that there's $140,000 spread on a $500,000 item. So I wanna make sure I'm covering all the bases, but what's this report's not telling me is what the firefighters are saying. To me, that's crucial, that's imperative, that I'd like to know why they scored MSA 35 out of 35 and you know, the Dreggers at 23 point. Was it fit? Is it feel? Did the mass fit better from one to the other?
So a lot of the feedback that I received, so first of all, their MSA was preferred pack. Dragger was their second choice. Scott was a very hard last for them. A lot of the feedback I got was the, I'll say, illusion that if we stay with MSA, we already have it, and we're not learning a new pack. We don't have to, you know, it's something that we already know. But the reality is a G1 is a completely different pack with a different system, and regardless of whatever pack we did bring in, there's still going to be a level of training and familiarization and a new pack. As far as other features, the MSA and the Dragger are very comparable in the sense that they both have adjustable lumbar with swivel pads. They both have a quick connect regulator that you don't have to twist or turn to put on or take off. They're very similar.
That's all for me. Thank you.
That's the word. So actually, I will just jump in 1 second to clarify, because I picked it up and Deputy Mayor mentioned it on the scoring. So the way the scoring worked for the purpose of understanding the recommendations by the firefighters was not 35 points for MSA and 23 for Dragger. They were much closer in comparison, but because MSA was the #1 preferred choice, they get all the points, 35 points.
Yeah.
And then a third is reduced, 23. So in the surveys themselves, and all of the firefighters had a chance to do the surveys, they all scored different things, better or worse on that. But anyway, I just want to clarify the scoring, Councilor Ward.
So mine is less on the specific details and just more on process, because I'll be honest, I'll leave the details to the experts here. So number one, this is more of a comment to staff. I really don't think RFP should come back to council like this. I've never seen this before. Usually RFPs come with a recommendation from staff as to what is best for staff operationally. Because I'm a little bit concerned that we're getting way into the weeds here and we might be legally in a bit of a predicament here, because they've submitted their submission as an RFP, it's been scored by staff. Technically the submission with the best score is normally the one legally you're contractually obligated to go with. I did read in your verbiage that council does not need to accept it, but moving forward, like, this is why I think it should come from staff with a recommendation. My other concern looking at this is that, you know, like, we're all talking about apples to apples, and RFP is not apples to apples. It never will be. It's a submission from each individual company, right? So if we wanted an apples to apples, it should have been tendered, not RFP'd. So I think, you know, if that's something that this council really wants to revisit and go back to, then it needs to be tendered. It can't be RFP, because they're proposing to us what they think is best for our process. So that's just my comment to staff. In the future, if you could make a decision, and then if we decide it's not the one we like, then we can go back out, because it seems there's a lot of, you know, not necessarily dismissing it, just there's a lot of inquiries about the individual submissions. My other question, and this is a question, not a comment, so I apologize, is did we budget for this expenditure in '23?
Nope.
Okay,
This is budgeted for 26.
for '26, okay. So then I guess what I would put out to council and to, if I may, Mayor, if I may ask the question, is that perhaps can we possibly defer this because there was also some other budget expenditures we had this year that we agreed to for next year? And I just kind of want to see where all these costs are kind of going, because if we approve this year, we're spending an extra, at the lowest, $383,000, right? Is that that's the lowest?
Mhm.
So if you don't, that's something I would, if we want to defer, I just would like to see financially where we're at with the fire department and where we're looking to draw these funds from. Because this is a lot of money that wasn't budgeted in '23. So unless
So
we have
here's
a
my
plan-
caution to that. The stuff we have is expiring. So we've already lost cylinders, and in a couple of months, we're losing more.
Let's be careful.
And I do wanna say to that point, Mayor, like, I don't want any of the volunteer fire department to think that I'm trying to get out of it financially. I just want to have a financial plan as to how we're gonna pay for this stuff, and I don't want anybody's health and safety to be endangered, that's not my intention. I just wanna make sure we have a plan for how we're going to fund it, because I just don't right now, I don't understand how that's working.
So, Fire Chief Hughes did come before us, several months ago, requested we put out the RFP, and at that time, we somewhat had a plan on where the budget items would come from.
Yeah.
At that time, because they would be delivered in '24 to '25. Is that correct?
Is that still the plan though, sorry?
We wouldn't receive them till probably March of 24.
So we would really be budgeting for them in '24 then, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
so,
not a.
So this
today's
isn't
budget.
hitting the '23 budget?
Nope.
There's no deposit or anything? Okay, that answers the question for me.
Up here?
Yeah, through you there, Robert, to your point, we are pre-approved money for a 2024 budget, and I know I've always felt uncomfortable, regardless of what it is, I've always felt uncomfortable with that, especially this close to a budget. So I guess my question is, how long would Draeger hold their price for? Is it a 30-day price?
I think it's
or
60 days.
Do you know, Chief?
60 days?
60 days, so then it would give us some time. I mean, our budget's deliberations is starting next month, carried into January, so that would give us some time to review this, I guess, in greater details with everything else.
I would be comfortable too, Mayor, to Deputy Mayor's point, like if we wait for Councilor Reno to come back as well, I think this is something that he has interest in, and during budget deliberations may have a little bit more insight as well. That's my opinion. I would really like to see how we're gonna, cause there's a few expenditures in '24 that,
Okay, so at this point, straw vote to say, Councilor Smith defer.
Yep.
Councilor
Yeah, until budget time is.
Yep.
yeah.
up here. So I have a motion, that the RFP 2023, decision be deferred, until our budget meetings in December/January. Moved by Councilor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. Carried. Bylaws, under 8A, 2023-92, asset retirement obligation policy. Treasurer Julie Stewart, go ahead, please.
Through you, Mayor Broad. The asset retirement obligation policy stems from a new standard from the Public Sector Accounting Board. So this new standard addresses the accounting and reporting requirements, the legal obligations on those at retirement of assets. So one of those that we're familiar with that is currently, I guess, has a liability on the financial statements are the landfills. So currently we do report and accrue liability for landfill. Right now, PSAB is looking to expand on that scope to other assets owned by the municipality for their end-of-life liabilities. So I guess one example could be a building. If we're looking to demolish a building in 10 years, and that building had asbestos that needed to be removed, if we knew that in 10 years it would be $100,000 to remove the asbestos, what we would do currently is set up a liability at the present value, whatever the present value is of that $100,000, in 10 years. And each year it would be reviewed and the liability would increase based on if it remains at $100,000 and if it's still, for the 10 years. And then at the end of the 10 years, the full liability would be accrued on the financial statements. So this policy identifies the scope of the new standard, and we're looking for council to approve the ARO policy. Any questions?
Thank you, Treasurer Stewart. Questions, comments? Once again, thank you, Treasurer Stewart. Certainly important to stay on top of all recommendations and obligations we're under. And this totally makes sense to set up liabilities in advance so future councils know what they're in for as decisions are being made. I have a motion, the bylaw 2023-92 being a bylaw to adopt the asset retirement obligation policy be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. 8B, 2023-93, cost of living adjustment policy 3-1. Clerk Crystal Brown. Please go ahead.
Yes,
Clerk.
thanks, Mayor Broad. So if council remembers in July, council directed staff to implement a cost of living adjustment policy based on a 1% minimum, 3% maximum increase for employees, volunteer firefighters and council. So this is a basic housekeeping, I guess, bylaw and policy, bring it before you to make it official. So if you have any questions, happy to answer.
Questions, comments? I have a motion that bylaw 23-93 being a bylaw to adopt cost of living adjustment policy number 3-31 be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 8C, 2023-94, South Dundas Soccer Storage Lease Agreement. Director of Parks, Recreation, and Facilities, David Jansen. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you is a agreement very similar to one that we passed just a month or so ago. Slightly smaller space, but to be used by, rather than the Seaway Surge, South Dundas Soccer this time, which is looking at, they've moved, last winter they did a winter program in Morrisburg, it's moved to Seaway. This is some logistical issues for them, so when the opportunity came available, this was a great solution for them. So it's again just our partnership with the community recreation groups that already exist. But other than that, I think we've been through quite a bit of it.
Yeah, no, this is great. If we have space, let's use it internally as we have our associations want to use it. So I think this is great. Any questions or comments? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, through Mayor Brown. I'm just assuming that the price that was presented to us here was just, we basically roughly calculated the square foot price from the surge and then transferred it over to this one. Okay.
3 units.
Yeah, okay, and so the second question was, you mentioned that the winter soccer program, is it, is the stuff that's gonna be stored, is it gonna be used weekly, or is it a permanent, like, winter, like, whole season?
It would be used weekly at the facility that their winter program's out of Seaway. Seaway doesn't provide storage space whenever you get the community use in the space, so we're placeholding that solution for them.
Okay, so, so somebody will be there weekly?
They have a key to access.
Okay, I was just gonna ask if there was any staff time
No,
involved.
no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the building's severed, so the storage, the medical clinic side versus the archive side are separately keyed.
Okay, all right, I'm just curious.
Good. So I have a motion that council, South Dundas, execute an agreement with South Dundas United, South Dundas Soccer for the purpose of authorizing rental space for temporary storage of soccer equipment within the municipality-owned building located at 5 College Street, Iroquois, Ontario. Be read and passed at open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councilor Ward. All in favor? Carried. 8D, 2023-95 Fire Dispatch Agreement. Fire Chief Jeremy Aldred Hughes.
Mayor Rod, in front of you is bylaw regarding the dispatch agreement for South Dundas Fire with Brockville. So Brockville is currently updated to the enhanced 911 and G911 system. And attached is the contract costs and increase under budget implications for 24, 25, and 26.
Any questions or comments at this point? Seeing the report, I have a motion that bylaw 2023-95 being a bylaw to renew the agreement with Brockville Fire Dispatch and Fire Dispatching Services from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2026 be read and passed at open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councilor Ward, seconded by Councilor Smith. All in favor? Carried. (8E) 2023-96 grant match agreement. CO Mills.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you heard the presentation tonight, the delegation from Michelle from Grant Match. The bylaws to execute an agreement to develop and manage a funding application process. A couple of comments. I'm not going to get into too much detail. The presentation speaks for itself. It's a tool in the toolbox, not something we're going to rely on simply, because there's definitely a cost to it. But there are a number of grants that sometimes come at the last minute or would require an excessive amount of staff time that maybe we don't have. You've seen the success rate that Grant Match has. I do have personal experience with it in another municipality. It was extremely successful. But what we did find is for the grants that are a lot more expensive, say that it is a significant investment on the behalf of the municipality, and we would avoid that. That being said, it's an opportunity to develop capacity for staff, so we have a lot of new staff, and we're going to work towards having a strategy to get grants, to access the grants. But you also, just to remind council, we heard tonight about the OSIM report, asset management, what the cost of fire is, what the cost of landfill is. We need government funding. And my recommendation on behalf of staff is that we use Grant Match as a tool in the toolbox moving forward. And we'll also be able to cross-train some staff too, to work together on within departments to get grants.
Thank you, CO Mills. Questions, comments? One grant that we don't get that we get is not much more in our accounts to use. So I think it's a great program that we can work together on that. So bylaw number 2023 being a bylaw to execute an agreement with Grant Match Corp to develop and manage a proactive government funding application process. Be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councilor Ward, seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? Carried. Okay, council representatives. Last Monday, Deputy Mayor St. Pierre and I were at our monthly counties SD&G council meeting. A few of the highlights to quickly discuss and share. Get Corp was there and I shared a presentation. That's Nick Thurler Farms, requesting for load restrictions be removed with his new operations. That's something that the council team felt like the entire county should work on a plan not specifically just two roads, which one would be ours and one would be a county road. So we're gonna work together with the counties on developing a plan, based on his request, and there's been other requests throughout throughout the counties on that. We also approved, some money for, 7 and 7, so regional housing plan, so we continue to work on that. Close to home, we approved an entrance widening, at the McIntosh Inn on County Road number 2. So, standard, widths are set by the counties, and if you'd like to make some wider estimates, you apply, and that was approved through the council. At the time, a few other things close to home, Riverside Snowmobile Club, which has, land in South Dundas, their clubhouse is on county property, just at Riverside, so that lease was renewed, for them, and our OPP, contract was extended. Any other?
Yeah,
comments?
just, through you, Mayor Brown, just on one thing, with the opening of, sorry, let me just take a step back. With them, the county finishing up the culvert in Chesterville, they are going to reduce some of the speed through the village. And what was requested, was that the transportation department look at all villages within SD&G to see if there's some adjustments that are required for speeds entering into hamlets and villages and businesses. That was supported by Warden Fraser as well, so hopefully they will do a good thorough review and get back to us in the near future with a report.
And what was kind of previously announced, the director of roads, Ben DeHaan, has taken in her position with North Dundas as the CAO, and they have backfill coverage within the county, so we wouldn't lose any service on that. So thanks to Ben for stepping up. Any other meetings in the last 2 weeks? Councillor Smith's going to bring an update at the next meeting on South Nation Conservation Area, and I'll have a Dundas County Archives update at the next meeting, as well as tomorrow night we have a economical community development meeting. Okay.
Yeah. At a meeting.
Oh yeah, sorry. So
Sorry, you
yeah,
asked if there was
I
any
did.
meetings, so I didn't know if it was like-
Sorry, no, sorry, Deputy
Don't
Mayor, yes.
Don't be sorry.
No, I was just yes. Go ahead.
So we had a Iroquois waterfront committee meeting a couple weeks ago, mainly to discuss budget items that's going to be forthcoming and proposed for this next year's budget. One of the things, and I believe everybody might have been copied on, if not, I'll just recap. One of the items that the Iroquois Waterfront Committee is requesting is to snow plow Adair Drive and some of the parking lot at the beach. I think it's been recognized now with the new lighting getting in place, the pathways are opening. They like to have a place where people can park and walk their dogs or walk themselves or snowshoe or whatever during the winter months. So the question is really for the rest of council, is this something that we would like to entertain, and if so, we could engage staff to come with a report on cost. Now, it may not be implemented until 2024, 2025, depending, I guess, if it passes budget, depends on how much snow we get in January 2024, but it's gonna be, second, third week by the time we pass the budget. So the question for the rest of the council, is that something that we'd like staff to proceed with in terms of getting costs?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think that's
Direction you're looking for,
getting some costs put together on that would be good. Length, whatever, as we continue to promote recreation within our own community, in order to attract people to walk, snowshoe, whatever it may be, in our paths. And with the lighting project, that's just adding more use to the area for sure.
Yes, and another item that's gonna come up, I think it's officially has come, again, it might have been emailed, is Mr. Ross would like to extend the pathway lighting. And he is, I believe, willing to donate his time and funds towards that program as well, or project as well. So it's something that we discussed. I think formally we'd like to get some feedback if we'd like to Director Jansen to start the discussions with him on that program as well.
We're in favor, council's in favor of directing Mr. Jansen to start the process for 2024's. Yeah.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, so what I'll do is I'll just include it in our 2024 budget package as well. At the end of the day, we're not gonna be spending any money on the project this winter, so I can just include it in the budget package and council will get a good overview there. I will note to anybody out there in council that I know the contractor was on site today, so the poles and lights started getting installed today. So I'm sure we'll start to see them in action, we're hoping by the end of this week. So
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Any other meetings, reports? Seeing none. Consent agenda. 10A, administrative October statistics. B, fleet repairs, pending up to November 17. C, KR 2024 Hydro One Energizing Life Community Fund. D, the memo from South Nation Conservation Winter Recreation. Resolution from Township of North Dundas for gender-based and intimate partner violence. F, resolution from the Town of Perry Sound on online public notices. G, a resolution from the Dufferin County Violence Against Women. H, a resolution from Bonfield Township re firefighter tax credit. I, a resolution from Bonfield Township re childcare availability. J, a resolution from Bonfield Township re fixing long-term care amendment act. K, a resolution from the municipality of Wawa automated enforcement system. L, resolution municipality of Wawa re water training. M, resolution municipality of Calvin re OHIP chronic pain coverage. N, resolution from Town of Orangeville re Ontario Works financial assistance rates. O, resolution of Town of Orangeville gender-based and intimate partner violence. P, resolution municipality of Wawa firefighter tax credit. Q, resolution municipality of Wawa legislation act. R, resolution city of Owen Sound re legislation act. And that's them all. And a reminder, if at any time we'd like to pull a resolution or a memo from and make the resolution ourselves, we can do that. So just a reminder on that one. I do have a motion that all items listed under general consent of the agenda be adopted as presented. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Sorry, and my apologies.
No.
Is it too late to pull one right now before we?
But we could add it under discussion items. Clerk LeBron?
Sure.
What would you like to discuss?
Well, I just, the resolution of Bonfield Township firefighter tax credit caught my eye.
Okay,
I just have a brief discussion on that one. Sorry, my apologies.
so I'll have a motion that all the items listed under consent agenda be adopted as presented.
Bonfield.
Councilor, thank you, Councilor Smith. Seconded by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor,
Very
carried.
disappointed we didn't catch that.
I didn't catch that. Okay,
you wanna move that to 8?
okay, under discussion items, 11A, Plaza Building Condition Assessment and Capital Review, Director Jansen.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you is a little bit of a report that all of staff worked to put together here. I know Deputy Mayor made the notice of motion back in May, and it was a busy summer, but we've put all the information together and are ready to present it to Council. That being said, you'll see that this report isn't from me, it's from the entire senior staff team. So you'll see Manager Dennis is here, Tim's helped, Jeff has helped, everybody. This was definitely a team effort, whether corporate services came in. I know Tia's back there and she's generally not feeling good about how typically I write my reports, as she got the joy of proofreading my technical writing, which is very engineer-esque. So I just want to take a moment to thank all of the staff that worked together on this report, because it was definitely a big team effort. From there, I'll go into a building condition assessment and the limitations. I know there's 14 listed in the report, which is, these are very much planning documents. What is written in here isn't gospel. It doesn't say on this day we must replace this, or it is going to cost X dollars. The values provided in a building condition assessment and a capital assessment, very high level, plus or minus 20%. And the effective lives aren't me going out there and hammering the asphalt and deciding how much time it has left. It's a visual inspection. So what's written in here isn't gospel. So I just want to make sure that the limitations of this report are outlined, but it's also a great tool to use in planning. As I'm sure as council read through it, it very much helps staff plan ahead. It helps us have a full outlook on everything that's upcoming and for a wider range of the asset. So I just want to go through that. You'll see I also noted some operations costs. I feel like we wouldn't be doing our due diligence if we didn't include a little bit of that discussion as well, as much as this is a condition assessment and a capital cost. So what we as the municipality currently, actually I use because we're working on the 23-2024 budget, I use the values from there, so I was getting the most up-to-date snow removal and some of those values. We look at about $150,000 a year that we carry in our budget every year for both plazas. That covers snow removal, staff time to empty the garbage cans, some small non-capital repairs, some minor repairs and stuff like that. And all of that, and grass cutting, all these things that encompass just owning the mall costs the taxpayer about $150,000 a year to just own those two malls. And then from there you get into the report, which hopefully everybody enjoyed, a little bit of light reading. And but I'll give a few quick highlights, mostly out of the conclusions. So I don't think it's any big secret. It seems to be the theme of the night. Infrastructure is expensive and paying for it takes a lot of funds. So there's two values you'll see in the conclusion of the report that are kind of important. Typically in asset management, you're going to take the value of everything you have and the number of years it's expected to cost. You can divide those numbers and end up with a number. So you'll see for the Iroquois Plaza, that's about $98,000 a year that we should be putting away just to pay for the infrastructure long term. That's over the lifespan of every piece of infrastructure. And in Mooresburg, this value is a little higher, it's at $101,000. These values are great, and I wish that they were here, but that we would get to discuss them, and some of the replacement wasn't happening for 20 years. Unfortunately, we're at a deficit right now. So short term, we haven't been doing that for the past 20 years, and now that's coming to fruition. So in the short term, in about the next 5 years, unfortunately about 60% of the infrastructure there, we're looking at being in deficit. So I know I put the next paragraph in there for the next 5 years average. We're looking at about approximately $350,000 annually at the Iroquois Plaza and a value of about $643,000 at the Mooresburg Plaza. That's just averaged over the years. Obviously they can fluctuate. That was just a value in the next 5 years. Those are the big numbers, the big scary numbers. The only other thing, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Surface infrastructure versus underground infrastructure. I think this is one thing I really want the public as well as council to understand as part of this report. The surface infrastructure, we all know in this room, is the thing we get the complaints about. Unfortunately, there's also below ground infrastructure, which is almost all Seaway era. So it's also 60 years old. The water department has fixed the water main out in front of the pharmacy in the Mooresburg Plaza, I think 3 times in the last 5 years. If we go and repave the entire plaza, but don't fix the infrastructure under the ground, we're gonna be kicking ourselves. We shouldn't, I don't want us to come in and put lipstick on a pig. So I wanted to outline that in the report, and that's just one of the things I really wanna highlight, especially in the public education part of it. From there, I think I'll send it back to council if you guys have any questions about the reports, the findings in the reports, comments on the reports or questions. And then maybe we'll circle back and we'll get into the infamous how do we pay for this questions, or if we want to go there, or what direction we want to go with the discussion tonight. So.
Well, thank you, Director Jansen and Manager Hyman, Manager Villeneuve, and everybody else that contributed to this. There's a big ask several months ago, and we knew that we needed to look at the whole picture, right, underground and above ground. So exactly to your point, and then start a plan. As you said in the introduction, the theme tonight is, looks like this council is gonna have a lot of planning to do in a bunch of our areas. A unique comment is that there's probably only 4 malls in all of Ontario that I'm aware of that is in this situation. Ingleside, Longview, Mooresburg, Iroquois, those malls were built during the Seaway, and then the municipality took on ownership of said parking lots, which would be different than a lot of other municipalities and their shopping malls, strip malls. So, with that being said, we'll need to work on a plan and a lot more communications, but I'm going to open it up to the council team for comments and questions to start off with. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you to everybody who put the effort in this. David, surprise, I did enjoy reading this report. Wonder why, right? 'Cause it's the same theme as what I do every day. So would we take this report then and the costs and then include it into our asset management plan at this point?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm working on preparing one of these reports for every facility in South Dundas.
Yeah, understood.
So you're gonna see one for the building we're in right now, you're gonna see one for Riverside Rec Hall eventually. Mr. Nelson and I have our work cut out for us over the next 5 or 6 months. The two of us are working together to take this on. So yes, eventually this will all end up, and I'd say the water infrastructure and technically the roadways in the malls are already included in our asset management plan. There's this real gray area, which I sort of outlined in the report, that, you know, yes, the water infrastructure is completely separate budget, but it's all owned by the municipality and we need to work together.
Correct,
So-
I agree with that approach, I
Yeah.
agree with that, it needs to be bundled up, whether it's whose responsibility is or department's responsibility, it should just be all bundled up in one enormous report. And what I liked about this is it does give a good picture of, and I agree with you, you can't start from the top and go down, you always gotta start from the bottom and go back up. There are some things here that I think we could probably address in the short term, electrical stuff, that's easy stuff to do. I guess for me, not diving any further into, because the report's a report, but what I would like staff to come back with, and I just need to understand is, and yeah, it's happened through the Seaway, I get various people telling me various, reasons why we inherited, the mall as we inherited them, but I'd like staff to pull the legal documents and get a full understanding of how we inherited. I'd like to get the full history on how we inherited the malls and what we've got in terms of that infrastructure. So I'm not suggesting that's an easy task and nor a task that needs to be done in the next month or two, because we're in budget deliberations, but I think that is, for me, the history of this file is just as important as what the costs are moving forward.
Councilor Smith?
Thank you, Mayor Rod. So the one thing that I was just trying to think, if I remember, now this might be a question for Treasurer Stewart, if she's still there, or Deputy Treasurer Mason. There is a separate line item in taxation for plaza, is there not? Or is it commercial? Is there not a separate line item for plaza taxable? Do I not remember seeing that, or do they pay straight commercial rate the same as every other commercial business?
I'll let Deputy Treasurer Mason or Treasurer Stewart, you want to comment?
There. A separate line item in taxation for the residents.
For the shopping mall,
For the shopping mall store owners, is there a separate, do they pay more?
They do have, yes, for their BIA, there is an additional tax to them for, I guess, their expenses alone, yes.
so the answer to your question is, no, they are commercial rates, same as
Okay.
every other commercial
Yes.
place in our municipality. They have a charge for their BIA, and the money stays in the BIA. It does
That's
not come to the municipality to pay for snow plowing or garbage or anything else. So yes, they may pay extra. It was deferred through COVID, that charge, for a couple of years, or at least one for sure, if I recall. But that money stays in the BIA, not to the municipality itself.
Only Morrisburg.
And that's only for Morrisburg. They have a BIA, and Iroquois, they have a business group amongst their owners that do their events within the Morrisburg Mall. So that's only Morrisburg that does BIA with a levy into the BIA account.
Okay. So just follow up to that, is it possible or allowed to add a separate line item in the rate structure to allow us to charge more to recoup some money to help with plaza maintenance.
Yes, it is allowed.
Okay, just curious.
Any further comments to that, Treasurer Stewart or Deputy Treasurer?
Don't have any further comments, but yes, exactly, it is allowed.
Okay.
Councillor Wood?
Mayor, so I think I asked staff a while ago too to bring back local improvement charges and how they would be applied to Councillor Smith's point. Local improvement charges, a special tax levy to help pay for infrastructure and what that would look like. Now that we know the cost, I think that would be a great exercise to bring forward to council to add to the deputy mayor's point about just getting all the information. And I think our council's motto is getting all the data before we make a decision, and I think that would be really valuable, especially now that we know most of the numbers. These are really, really big numbers, and I think it's gonna be a tough decision for us over the next couple of years, but I really do appreciate the report and the planning aspect of that and all the work that went into that, so thank you to staff for spending a lot of time on that, and I think we'll forge on.
Yeah, no, I think this was obviously just a discussion item to bring forward, give the chance to share what their findings have been for that. We will need to schedule some immediate semi-immediate follow-ups to your point, Councillor Ward, and then potentially a council committee of the whole meeting for further discussions in not too distant future, because the only way to get started is to get started, right? And we can't keep pushing the decision. Councillor Ward?
One thing too, Mayor, just to point out, and because David made the point about education, I do appreciate the fact that we're doing from the bottom up, but perhaps to staff through communication, you can also send out an information memo or something about the true cost for the plaza replacement. I think council gets a lot of inquiries as to why it's not done yet, and I think it's important that if not every resident watches the meetings, so if we could share that information on the total cost and that we're, working towards a resolution, I think that would be beneficial.
Yeah, so just doing some quick math, if we were paying, or we are paying $150,000 a year for the maintenance of snow plow and garbage, and we need to put away $98,000 for infrastructure and $101,000, that's the taxpayer is paying $350,000 a year of tax money to support the 2 parking lots and sidewalks at 2 shopping malls. Yeah, so education is definitely the first step. With the taxpayer, as well as the building owners of those businesses, because they're not all. Some of them are leased, some of them are owners themselves. Okay, thank you very much, Director. Final comments or? Well, you'll be back, I'm sure.
Oh, there's plenty. I think we could discuss this all night if we really wanted to, but I don't think we do.
Okay, moving to 11B, leaf and yard waste letter from residents. So we received a handwritten letter from a resident in discussions with leaf and yard waste, and this is not the first time we talked this topic, but I'll start with Clerk LeBron. Do you want to speak of the letter itself?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Broughton, through you. So we received this letter at the end of October, and the gentleman who submitted it asked if it could be added to the agenda. So to summarize his letter, he's looking for council to consider options for, he refers to it as compost in this letter, but just for clarification, it's leaf and yard waste that we're really talking about here. Our EA doesn't allow us to collect compost, and compost is food waste. So just to be specific, food waste is compost, and then this letter kind of speaks to leaf and yard waste. So he just he states that he'd like to see more options in the future, and I think this letter's timely, considering we just had a landfill discussion, and I think that part of what staff can bring to council in the future is some pricing for, options for leaf and yard waste pickup. Obviously we have our compost days. We know that they're not year round, there's specific times a year, so I think this letter kind of speaks to just looking at more options, expanding our options. So we thought it would be a good discussion point to kind of get council's thoughts on next steps and what you're looking, what you would like to see staff bring back at a future meeting for options, if that's the direction we want to go in.
Yeah, so, it's been somewhat of a frustration point as well, as, you know, we've had some illegal, you know, we try and do our yard and leaf waste days, and we have folks, you know, outside of those windows dumping, and then that causes problems, so a strategy, and we did look, you know, as CO Mills and Corporal Brun weren't here for last year's budget, we did have a proposal last year that we couldn't accept at the time, couldn't fit into our budget, but continue to revisit that and look at that line item certainly is important. And a year ago during the election, there was a hot topic about this, and we need to come to another resolution. Comments or questions? Councilor Ward?
So I think, if I could speak freely, I think that the depot initiative is really just a stopgap measure, and I think that was our discussion that we had at council during budget. We just didn't have the funds to do curbside collection. I believe Director Hyman has brought twice now information regarding how much it would cost for curbside collection, and maybe we can certainly consider it as part of budget this year. I know in 2025, as the CIO has already discussed, we're getting rid of recycling, and there might be some funds there, but there seems like we might have to allocate those to the landfill. So I think it's important for residents to understand too that any curbside service or any enhancement in service comes at a cost. You know, I read this letter, and as a rural resident, I'm sure Councillor Smith can speak to this as well. We drive everywhere to get access to everything. So I have a problem with the way the letter's written a little bit, because they don't want to drive to a rural area. Rural residents drive to the urban area all the time, and we often pay the same, if not more, taxes. So I really think that we need to come up with a community approach, but I think curbside is probably the best way forward, and that the dump site's probably not the best idea. So, no comment.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Rod, I definitely agree. I mean, I've been hearing this story now for a number of years, about, I was gonna say composting, leaf and yard waste. And it is something that I know that I committed to reviewing, during my term of council. It's something that, I think we should try to come up with a solution if we can to help, with that, for people that live in the villages, and maybe that solution is still gonna be driving to our local, dump, to get rid of it, whatever, but I'm open to suggestions, I'm open to researching the different methods and costs associated with it. I do agree with Councillor Ward. I think we were hoping that the money that was gonna be saved on the, recycling could have been part of this program, but, we'll have to see what happens, once we get diving in a little bit more on the cost of waste management, and we can go from there. But, I'm open, absolutely, I'm open, and I'm not worried about the letter specifically. I think it is something though that we should look into.
Councilor?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Rod, the only comment that I had on that is, we talked about our landfill, and if we have to start trucking our garbage to some place that's not around us, and it now makes more sense to divert as much as possible. So maybe this is going to come at the same point as we do a permanent or a semi-permanent fix to our landfill situation. This could be part of it
Yes.
at that point in time.
Further discussion? Yeah, so I think, Clerk LeBrun, for budget budgetary reasons, bring, any solutions in this area, bring them the cost to us so that we can review them for 2024. And then the council, with everybody's points, we need a full-time, permanent, long-term solution going forward. And just briefly, Deputy Mayor asked to just add a small discussion point about the resolution on the tax fire credit, and what that resolution really says is that they're calling upon the Government of Canada to support a change in the Income Tax Act where tax credits for volunteer, part-time in our case, fire service maximum is $3,000 and increase that to $10,000 to give those firefighters an income tax break. So just recapping what the resolution is, and Deputy Mayor, you want to speak on that?
No, through you, Mayor Broad, it was something I apologize, just getting preparing for the meeting that I want to pull it. I would support this resolution, and I'm wondering if we can't, if it's council's decision, if we can draft up a resolution of support on that as well. I just, you know what, pay part-time or not pay part-time, I just sometimes feel that our part-time volunteers do not get the credit and do not get compensated to the full extent as they should, and I think this is a way that the government can help with that. I'm not sure if anybody else has the same thought or not, but.
Deputy Mayor?
Yeah.
Sorry, Councilor Smith? Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, through you, Mayor Brown, so I just wanted to clarify, I support the Deputy Mayor's resolution as well. Is the tax credit only for strictly volunteers, or is it for paid on-call as well?
No, it's for volunteer, it says in the resolution volunteer firefighters, but,
Does it include both?
so, but what they're really referring to is the paid volunteer firefighters.
Okay,
Yeah.
just curious.
Yeah, so I think we can direct staff to bring a resolution at our next meeting in support of the same okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Notice of motion under 12. Seeing none, ratification bylaw. So I have motion, the bylaw 2023-97 being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, seconded by Councilor Smith. All in favor? Carried. And on motion, the council now adjourned to meet and call the chair. Councilor Ward and Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. All in favor? And thank you very much. And as we close tonight's meeting, so this was a two-part recorded session, as we had technical difficulties with it at the end of our first segment. So I'd like to thank everybody's participation tonight, staff, and the council team. Councilor Vino was unable to attend tonight's meeting. He has out-of-town engagements. So with that being said, we will end the second recording. And for everybody within the zone, thank you very much.